We are back. Here I am, Fly Navarro. And who do I have with me but Mr. Peter Pakula? Peter, how are you, sir?
I'm very good. Thank you, Fly. I'm amazed I'm on this because it's the sort of the last thing I ever expected. I do a lot of these, but not with guys like you who are as famous as you are. And, I've been following you for many years. So thank you.
No, 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 no. Listen, I'm not famous. I'm infamous. Actually, I'm not even infamous. You know what I tell everybody? I'm not famous. I'm just well known. Jennifer Lopez, she's famous. I'm just well known. When people ask me to write on their chest, then you can call me famous. But until then, I'm just well known. That's it, man.
Yeah, what did Bogart say when they can spell your name in Uzbekistan? You're famous.
Actually, it's funny because when I was, oh my God, how old was I? I think I was 22 years old. It's 30 years ago. Okay, so I'm 52 now. 22 years ago, I was working on the Rapscallion with Cujo, and the first mate was Timmy Richardson and myself. So that was where I first got introduced to a wombat.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Timmy was one of my young guys. He used to actually work for me, I think. Don't remember that for sure, but he was a natural fisherman even when he was young. I've actually got a bunch of photos of Tim with his fish in the early days when he was about 14, I think. Um, and yeah, he's turned into a really spectacular skipper.
Yes, he has. He's been around quite a bit.
We were talking about swearing a minute ago before we started recording. Did Tim ever swear in front of you?
Oh my gosh.
I
You
don't
know
think he
what?
did.
I don't know.
I don't
I
think
don't
he
think
did.
so.
I never heard him swearing. It was unique. He was sort of one of the rare, very cultured, very pleasant, very well-spoken Australian skippers.
Wait a second. Easy trigger.
No, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's
No,
done a lot.
I really enjoyed working with Timmy.
Yeah.
I had a good time with him as a young deckhand. I'm not gonna lie, he beat the shit out of me. Verbally. And I don't mean mean as much as uh I'm not doing that. You're doing it, mate. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever. And I was a kid, it was my first chance, and I was having a good time. I didn't mind it.
Oh, fair enough. No, good luck to him. Good luck to him.
Yeah, no, no, no. And he was down when I went down there and I fished with Sparrow. He was down there, so it was good to see him. I saw him. One of the things I was very, very pleasant and happy about was I got a chance to meet Billy Bison before he passed.
Oh, Billy. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Billy and I go back, Jesus, more than 50 years. More than 50 years.
Really?
Yeah, we were both fishing the Sydney scene, and Billy was always good. He was always a natural. He was actually one of the first guys to catch a blue marlin out of Sydney waters,
Okay.
and it was a big one, and he got it out of I think an 18-foot trailer boat. And Billy then became a skipper. It was hilarious. I saved up for years. I started making lures when I was quite young. It didn't become a business till I was much older. And I saved up for years. And at 18, I actually chartered Billy's boat in Cairns, the Viking, the first Viking. And I caught a 800 pounder and stuff. And I said, look, I really want to use lures. And he said, oh, we just don't use lures up here. So I'd saved up for years on a mission to use my lures up in Cairns. And he wouldn't use them. That was the ball down. So I never got to use them there. But Bill later on went on to catch about, I think, 5 or 6 granders on Pakula lures, so he more than made up for it. And I've got some photos of Bill actually up on the wall here. They're all hidden and stuff with his granders and stuff. So, and in the early days, we used to fish a tournament called Port Stephens. And Bill and I were certainly competitors. We were in different clubs. And I really knew Billy's motions. I knew if he turned the boat left, he was going to go right. It was just to put people off. And I could actually get to his spot before he did. And we actually, he came first a lot more than I came first, but we certainly came second after Bill a lot of the times. And we sort of became really good friends where I'd actually troll up the back of his boat and ask him for a cup of sugar because I wanted a coffee or something. Or I'd sort of sit. and that really, he saw the joke of it because it was a dead period of the day anyway. Or I'd actually just sit right under his outrigger and try my lure pattern right under his outrigger, just in a bit closer. And we had a lot of good times, Bill. Bill was actually a very good friend, and once again, a natural fisherman.
He was a great guy. I met him, we were in Cooktown. We all had dinner together
Yeah,
and just an absolute gentleman of a man.
yeah,
Just had a great, like I said, I was very, very blessed and happy that I got a chance to meet him before he passed.
yeah, yeah. It was very sad. Like he was quite bipolar at the end, and it was difficult for everybody around him. And it's just the way it goes. My brother died of being bipolar too, and so I knew what that was about. And it's just very sad. You've only got a certain amount of time on this planet to do what you want to do and do it well, I tell you.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. And it's funny, you don't realize it as you're younger, but the older you get, the more you realize it's not a lot of time and you need to squeeze as much in as you want.
It's funny, guys in my age group, I'm 72, and we're basically war babies. And, we went
Oh,
through the Vietnam War and, just after Korea and after World War II, my parents were Polish and they'd been right through the war. And I can tell you right now, none of us thought we were going to live past 30. We thought there'd be another war and we'd be in the trenches and stuff like that. So, we lived well as fast as we could. And, the idea in fact, I've never had a savings account because I never thought I was going to live much longer for various things. And I've always done what I wanted to, and I've always been really aware of the fact that a lot of soldiers died for our freedom. So I insist on being free and doing what I want when I want because, that's what they wanted us to do. And so that's got a lot to do with our attitudes, a lot. You're a bit younger and your attitude's a little different, but there was wars everywhere when we were younger, and there's wars everywhere now, but they just don't affect us as much as the old ones.
no,
And
no.
we're being a fisherman and a game fisherman, we're blessed. Who the hell gets to do that? Seriously,
Exactly. We get
and
we get paid to travel all over the world and catch big fish.
yeah, and it's just this amazing freedom. And the early days of game fishing for me is, I was in Sydney Game Fishing Club in my late teens, early 20s, and all of them were ex-soldiers. In fact, it was almost like a returned soldiers club. And they were incredibly good mentors. They treated us really well. We bounced around a bunch of different boats, and we actually had to do kind of an apprenticeship where we'd clean the boats, we'd rig bait and stuff, but we very rarely got to hang on to a rod. And, by jumping on all the different boats, you saw so many different techniques and ideas and stuff. And, we think so much about catching fish, and, we'll probably talk about other stuff later, but we're dealing with something with a brain the size of a walnut, you know.
Oh my gosh, that is so true. I've said that. I probably said it 100 times in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. And, it's we complicate the hell out of it, but and lots of people study the rods, the reels, and the lures and the rigs and all that sort of stuff, and complicate the absolute hell out of it. And basically most of it's just physics and I guess experience, but most of it's just high school physics. There's these guys trying to set hooks through solid bone in a marlin's jaw, with light drags and stuff. I don't know how that works. It's just not physics. And even drags and stuff, it's all physics. My background, um, I was actually in the clothing trade, and I was actually involved in production, and I went to college, and I was actually a tech teacher for a while as well. And even drag settings, and all the clothing machines spinning yarns and stuff for t-shirts and stuff, that's all drag settings. So, I had a very good beginning with that. I actually got a scholarship to study in England, and I used most of the courses to learn more about fishing gear, like even dyeing fabrics, all hydrodynamic. So you get to understand a lot of that stuff and production, and compared to making shirts and suits and stuff, making lures is pretty damn easy.
Sometimes it seems like all you got to do is hook one, which is the fisherman when he picks it up at the store and says, "I like this one."
I hate that comment. I really hate that comment.
Explain to me, why do you hate that comment?
a guy will come to me and say, "Oh yeah, I really like that lure," and I go, "Who gives a damn what you like? Don't you want what the fish likes?" And they're so different. They are so different. It's we do a lot of development and all that sort of stuff, and the my early days, I'm incredibly fortunate. In 1988, we had a bicentennial tournament in Sydney, and they brought over 18 teams from Kona and Hawaii. And the idea was that they were supposed to come over and teach us Australians how to troll lures. And as it turned out, Pakula was blitzed it, and the Hawaiian guys caught stuff all on their lures, mainly because we fish much rougher waters than Kona. If the guys came from Hilo, they'd probably trash us, but Kona, it was basically a calm water fishery.
100%. Yeah.
Anyway, the president at the time was Otis Red Butler, who was just the nicest guy on the planet, and he almost adopted me. So he invited me over to Hawaii, and he said, "Don't bring any clothes, just bring 2 suitcases full of lures." And I went, "Okay, okay, if you
Fair
want."
enough.
So I'm going through Honolulu Customs with 40 odd kilos, 80 pounds of lures. Okay. And I go through customs, yeah, nothing to declare. And I'm walking out, and my suitcase breaks. And there's lures everywhere. And the customer
Oh,
come here. So that was about 4 hours of negotiations. And I said, "Look, there's no point in finding me because I haven't got any money." So he said, "Well, you can't come in the US without any money." And this is absolutely hilarious. And there was this guy behind me, and he sort of said, "Those Pakula lures." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm Peter
he
Pakula." He
knew
said,
you.
"Yeah." He saw the lures. And we'd actually sold a few lures to Hawaii previously. And he said, I'll take some. And I said, and the customs guy, I asked, "Well, what's the fine?" He said, $300. And I said, "Well, do you want $300 worth?" He said, "Yeah, I'll take $300 worth." I said, "Okay." So he gave me 300 cash. I gave it to the customs guys and went through customs. So that was just hilarious, absolutely
Oh my
hilarious.
gosh.
And I get to Hawaii and I sort of said, "Otis, what do you want these lures for?" So, "Oh, we're taking them to Yamas, to Don Fujiwara." So we go to Yamas and Don says, "Okay, empty them out on the counter." And he says, "I'll take all these except these green ones." And I went, "They're Lumo sprockets." I don't know if you've heard of the Lumo sprocket. It's the most famous lure we make. And he said, "Oh, green doesn't work here." And I said, "God damn, I'm sick of hearing that." And I said, "Okay." So we went out on the Marlin Queen, Otis's boat the next day, and we caught 2 marlin on the Lumo sprockets and went back to Don and he took the Lumo sprockets. And at the same time, he had a girl working for him called Bonnie. I don't know if you ever went there.
I
And
ran a boat out in Kona a long time ago.
okay, so you remember Donnie and
I don't know if that might have been before my time. I was there in 13 and 14.
okay, yeah, this was 88, 89.
Okay.
And I fell in love with her so much I can't tell you.
Oof.
Oh, Bonnie was, and I just said, "You should marry her." And I said, "She doesn't want to marry me. She's got all these skippers and rich guys coming in." And he said, "Imagine having a wife that can, fix a reel and rig a lure." And I said, "Well, okay, well." So I actually took her out to dinner. Anyway, it didn't go anywhere, but I was still in love with her. And years later, I actually took my wife over there who can rig lures and fix a reel. And we had a good dinner with Bonnie. But the Hawaiian scene was absolutely spectacular. But the most important thing is that I was kind of accepted by the other lure makers there. I caught up with Bart Miller, made friends with him, made friends with J.E., Joe Salazar, and a whole bunch of other skippers. And, one of the most important guys you'd know him was Rick Gaffney.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And Rick, we almost became brothers, from another mother. His family was actually in the same sort of rag trade that I was in. And he ended up becoming my distributor. And very much that was the start of Pakula Lures, was that experience with Hawaii being accepted by the other lure makers. Because in Australia at the time, all the lure makers could kill each other, on sight. There was no friendship between any of them, which has changed over the years. But that was really the start of Pakula Lures becoming a real business for sure.
That's that's pretty cool. It's nice to know when the actual spark kick to get your
Yeah,
business
when it
started.
actually when it actually starts a fire, absolutely. And they were incredible guys. And Rick actually ended up becoming my agent for a while, selling stuff in Hawaii and the USA. So it was a really good experience. And the
That's
islanders Islanders are spectacular. I've always, I've grown to love islanders all over the place. I go to Cook Island, Fiji, Tonga, and all the islands have just got this coolness about them where they're not stressed and you can actually have a proper conversation without them feeling threatened or you feeling threatened. And in the big cities, that doesn't seem to happen too much.
No, not at all. The islands definitely have that aloha vibe.
Yeah, yeah,
It's it that's one of the things I loved about Hawaii. It's just
yeah.
everybody was it took me a little while to break in to get to know everybody. Here's a guy from the East Coast. But once I got to know, actually the person that I came became closest with was Randy Lanis.
Yeah, he's a
Randy of
good
all
guy.
people. Yeah, he was the pit bull of the harbor.
I actually fished
Uh,
with him. We actually fished the HRBT a few times, and
okay.
I actually fished with him in the year we won it. And
Really?
they were great guys. Yeah, great guys. All
Oh,
the boats were, even in Australia, I'll get on a boat and they'll sort of say, oh, yeah, I've been using these other lures for years. You can run one lure. But in Hawaii, they all let me run my full spread, except the last
really?
day where I was actually fishing with Marlon Parker. And I got on the boat and I went, this is difficult. And he went, yep. And I said, he
No
said,
way.
he said, we're not going to catch anything. No, he didn't. No, not at all. He said, well, look, this isn't going to be right. And I said, yeah, I know it's screwed up. And we sort of said, okay, you have two lures on one side, we'll have another two lures on the other side, and we'll run a little 9-inch jet, $2 jet on the shotgun. And that'll be the one that gets the fish. And it did. But
Wow.
Marlon was super gracious. That was good. So we won that tournament. And the other great spectacular family, I mean, the families there, these fishermen are generational. And they're different fishermen because they're not just charter skippers, they're actually commercial fishing. So it's in their interest to catch as many fish as possible. And in a lot of other fisheries, that seems to be lacking. In a lot of other places, charter boat fishermen are entertainers. And it's a different vibe. It's a different vibe. These guys just seem to be about more serious in chasing the fish. I know that comment's going to piss off some people, but that
No, but
vibe is very
it
different.
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So, Kona in Hawaii and Honolulu is really where a lot of stuff happened. And the guys are just great. Like the generations of Norm Isaacs and Darren Isaacs, it's just spectacular. And in America, you've certainly got the Stanzics in Bud and Marys and stuff, and Todd Manser and all that sort of stuff are generational. And these guys, they're given the instinct at a really young age. And they
Yeah,
fish
they're around the boats all their life.
yeah, and they fish off wharves and piers and walls and stuff when they're starting out. And that really is the startup. But it's really interesting that we sort of get categorized, like I get categorized as a game fisherman. And really, I don't like that because I started off on wharves catching, what you call bluefish and stuff on 1 kilo line. And because you have to cast a long distance to get a little lure out there, so we use light line. And, then float fishing and trout fishing. And, now in my old age, my wife's got mobility problems, so I can't risk getting hurt, so I don't go on game boats anymore. I just go fly fishing in Arataki for bonefish. And to me, they're all the same. I don't want to be thought of as just a game fisherman. I'm basically just a fisherman who likes fishing
That's
and
it.
catch.
Being out on the water.
Yeah. And, as I get older, I've grown to love fish. I like fish. Most people will cut the head off of fish and gut it and fillet it, and that's what they think they've, taxed, had a look at what a fish is. But I've actually dissected them all the way through the skin, all the way down around the head and stuff, and they're so complex. You got to love these creatures. But once again, if you want, it's up to you whether you want to kill them or not, if it's legal or not. Where I fish in Arataki, you're not allowed to kill bonefish. I don't think you're allowed to kill bonefish just about anywhere. Um, but bonefish are certainly great fish, but they're no more special than any other fish when it boils down.
Mm.
They're all, God's
I've
creatures,
eaten
if you
it.
call them that.
I've eaten them one time, and that was in Hawaii.
Yeah,
The bonefish. Yeah, one time it was Sam Choi who had a poke competition, and somebody
yeah.
made poke out of the bonefish.
Oh, nice. And what did it taste
Yeah,
like?
pokey.
It's like fish. Yeah,
Yeah, it
semi.
tastes like fish. I mean, it wasn't bad, not at all. It just it wasn't like a tuna or an ahi color. It was more of a it wasn't as white as like a wahoo. It was darker, a
Yeah,
little bit more gray, but yeah, it wasn't bad at all. No complaints. Listen, there was a lot of different fish I ate while I was in Hawaii. I ate a lot of blue marlin. It was amazing the amount of
yeah.
blue marlin I ate while I was there over those 2 years. Yeah, it was quite a bit of it. You know,
Well,
they didn't kill them like they used to, but it was usually once a week somebody had one die. It's like, hey, if anybody wants some marlin, come take a whack.
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But I'm not belittling any other species of fish and all that sort of stuff. It's really up to the individual what they want to do with a fish, and that's one of the freedoms that we've got to keep. Basically, you've got to be free to make decisions. It's understandable that the bonefish are protected because they're in a sort of fixed environment of a lagoon and they can be easily fished out. So it's fair enough that they protect those. And a few other species, the fisheries departments really do look after fish in most Western areas now. And the fisheries are in pretty good condition because of that.
You guys do a really good job with conservation down there.
Yeah, we do. It's often bagged by the fishermen and stuff. But speaking to the scientists who are actually fishermen, they're in favour of what they're doing. We've got a couple of renegade government officials and stuff that are now sort of banning some species without any scientific evidence, but that's just part of the government we've got at the moment. We've got a left-wing government which is very woke and very green and, a bit crazy, but I don't think that sort of stuff's going to last for long. That government's losing favour very quickly. So
I
that'll
think
change.
you're I think you're 100% correct on that. It is
Yeah.
it's losing favor fast because it's too extreme.
Yeah. Just too extreme. And they're inflicting on our freedoms, and like Americans, Australians, where we want to be free to do what we want to do, without affecting other people. If it doesn't affect
Ex-
other people or stuff, we want to be free to do it.
Leave me alone. I don't care what you do. Leave me alone.
Well, it's interesting. When I was younger, my brother was always into politics and he was quite aggressive. He was actually quite left wing, and I'm totally right wing. So we clashed a lot. But in those days, 20 years ago, if you asked an Australian who the leader of our country was, they wouldn't know because they left us alone. And they didn't know. You could ask anybody, oh, who's our prime minister at the moment? They go, I don't know, I don't care. Leave me alone. And they did. But, in the last 15 years, they're really encroaching on our freedoms for no reason than it's just woke shit.
Yeah, especially you guys, I saw it a lot during COVID.
Yeah, that was insanity. Absolute
Oh,
insanity.
yeah,
A lot of it's, a lot of it, and a lot of it was all governed by different states. We got 7 states, so there were 7 different versions of it. Victoria, the state of Victoria, was almost decimated by the lockdowns. They were locked down for 2 years, and that just killed the economy of the state. I was in Queensland, where we were pretty free. They really didn't affect us much. And all the stuff about vaccines and stuff, it's individuals were against it. I'm for it. I've been ill many times, had lots of illnesses and stuff, and the doctors have saved me. So I listened to the doctors. And my wife said cancer for 35 years. She was supposed to die in a month, but she's kept going. And so we trust doctors. So we got vaccinated, and I'm still here. So
and
it's
so you can keep fishing. That's all that matters. As long as you can keep fishing.
yeah, and keep making lures and keep the business going. And my wife likes shopping, so we need a decent income. So we'll keep that going.
Sell more lures, man. Sell
Yeah,
more
lots more.
lures.
Yeah, she's pretty good at it. But she deserves it. She's been through a heap, so she can do what she wants. But I've just got to keep it up to her.
Yeah,
But she,
that's
she works in the business with me, and she really is the main reason for the business success. I'm just a factory worker when it boils down to it, and she pretty much runs the business side of it when it comes down to it.
she's the brains of it.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and she's delightful. She's a very personable person. She's always happy, always bubbling, no matter what's going on, and people are amazed that she can be like that when she's still got bone cancer and stuff, but she's still bubbly and still sings to the dogs every morning and stuff. So it's very cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you do all the designing of the lures and she does all the business end of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And I do a lot of the production. I still skirt lures and stuff. We've got some spectacular staff. I've got the best staff now that I've ever had. We've got three guys working for us, and they're all university graduates, which is insane, doing manual labor. But one's a
Wow.
biotechnician, one's uh, a business master's, and the other one's a maths teacher. So it's a good scene, and they just like working here.
It's a
They
good work
sort of
environment.
well, they talk all day, they laugh all day, and yeah, they're having a good time. So good luck to them. And they decide when they work. I don't have to get involved in that. If it's busy, they do more hours. If we're not busy, they do less hours. They don't care, but it's a good scene.
Man, that's awesome. That's
It
awesome.
is.
So can you give us an idea of how you come up with the ideas of some of the lure heads?
Look, the basic thing is Australia, we fish rougher conditions. We fish, I when I was in Sydney, which is a long time ago now, we fished every Saturday and Sunday 3 years straight. So we used to fish flat calm conditions up to 25, 30 knots of wind and big chop, big seas and stuff. To the point where we were fishing one tournament and the guy who was running the tournament went out to check what conditions were like. He came back without a bimini, without a windscreen, and said it was fishable. And of course, we had to go and have a look. And I went out. I was in a 23-foot displacement boat that did 6.5 knots flat chat. And I went around the point and I couldn't turn around. The seas were 8 meters, so it's 20-foot swells, like
Oh
huge
my
swells,
gosh.
and they were breaking. And I had to go back to my home port, which was about, I guess, 12 miles in that. Um, the boat did 6.5 knots flat chat and calm conditions. It was doing 25 knots going down the face of these swells. It was incredible. The adrenaline,
Oh,
I think it was about 4 hours, was just remarkable. And the kicker was that as soon as we went around their heads in Sydney, the steering broke. Had it broken
oh,
15 minutes before we were dead. Anyway, we all passed out from exhaustion. Lucky it was a running tide, and we ended up on a beach and woke up a couple of hours later and fixed the boat and went back to the wharf. So we've been in rough conditions. But getting back to the story, sorry to waffle on like that.
it's
Um,
okay.
it, we fish rough conditions, and basically most of the lures we were getting at the time were from places like Kona, which are calm, and the places in South Africa that they fish off the beach, but it's generally calm conditions. There are a lot of South African lures in Australia in those days. And I got seasick if I went in the cabin. So I was the poor guy out the back untangling lures all day, and I just went, there's got to be a better way.
Ugh.
And because I'd already known about hydrodynamics, it wasn't hard to design a lure that actually just stayed in its position in the crap conditions we were fishing in. And it developed from there. And we keep developing lures because technology changes. Like we went from hand polishing resin. I was the guy who introduced the polyurethane system, which meant you didn't have to polish. Um, that started off in 1996, which was a whole new technology of hand pouring lures, but you could pour any shape you wanted to because you didn't have to polish or sand them. And that allowed us to do a lot more shapes, a lot more definitively, sharper lines, sharper edges, and all that sort of stuff. And larger inserts because we were using solid molds, not split molds, which we started off with. Um, and all the lures became consistent, which was very, very exciting for the time. And the reason I spent so much effort in doing that, my stepson Len and my wife were doing a lot of the production. And when she got cancer, I said, we just don't want these chemicals here anymore. So we try to find some less toxic chemicals, which is how that got started. Um, and basically, people change a lot of stuff. Like we went from displacement boats that did 6.5 knots flat chat worldwide to diesel powered boats, twin diesel powered boats, bigger boats, outboard motors and stuff. And guys started trolling at 8.5, 9 knots. So we needed to design lures that would do those speeds in the conditions we fish in. So they were sort of tweaked a bit. And then came this thing called 3D printing, which is just incredible, where you can do shapes that you just can't do molding heads. And, you know, there's one of the 3D printed heads, you can't mold that.
Wow.
And they're just absolutely spectacular. But guys still like, um, the standard heads with the inserts in, selling 3D lures, retailers really can't sell them. Um, but, when you're molding stuff, you can do, when you're 3D printing, you can mold lures like that. I don't even know if you can see that in the glare. But the jet hole's larger at the front, smaller at the back, so it gets a Venturi whistle going. Stuff like that you can do with 3D printed lures. And we do have 8 3D printers going flat chat. So, the online store sells a lot of them. Most of the lures we sell online are 3D. Most of the lures we sell to retailers and distributors are the ones with the inserts in them. And going sort of back to the Kona days, one of my best friends that I made in Kona was Jimmy Unger, who made the lures called Lollipops.
Okay.
Okay. And he knew the history. And then a bloke came along, a friend of the president, Rope Nelson, who fished the Blue Hawaii with Lee Marvin. And we got to start talking about the early lures and designing lures and all that sort of stuff. And they sort of said, why are you making trinket lures? And I go, what are you talking about, trinket lures? And they said, oh, the lures with inserts are trinkets for tourists. And I go, what are you talking about? They said, oh, all the lures we use were plain pearl white. And I go, well, you can't sell them. And they go, we know, but they're better lures. And I go, yeah, I know they're better lures. And I said, I think they're better lures because that nice sparkly head ain't where the hook is. So that's where the fish is aiming for. So let's get them aiming at the actual fish. And, as it turns out, they were dead right. But the guys who are using the lures with inserts and stuff, you're not going to change that. That's what fishermen like when they come in the store. They'll pick up a lure and go, oh, I like that. So, that's it's always the conundrum of making lures for fishermen and making lures for fish. Although they're similar, they're not the same.
Yeah.
But once again, we're running a business, so customers are always right. Even though you can argue with them, they're always right. It kind of makes
You
sense,
can't,
doesn't it?
you can argue with them, but they're going to buy what they want to buy.
Yeah. And one of the worst things, well, or best things, is light gauge hooks. You guys heard about light gauge hooks in the States?
Yes, sir. I've heard of them.
Okay. In the late 1990s, Trey Coombs came out with his fly hooks, which ended up being the Gamakatsu SL12s. And we used those for light tackle, little black marlin. And they were absolutely fantastic. The shanks were a bit long for a trolling hook, but that's all that was available. And the process was that we were catching little black marlin that were like 15 kilos on 4 and 6, 8 kilo line.
That's awesome.
And we worked out how to knock those over and get them to the boat in 60 seconds. True. Anyway,
Wow.
that's another thing. And our average flight time with an experienced crew was 2 minutes max. And you'd get these green little blacks next to the boat that were trying to kill you. There's no way you could get a hook out of them. There was just no way. So by using those fly hooks, we would have the hooks were stronger than the line, but weaker than the leader. We were using 100, 150 pound leader. So when we got the fish next to the boat, we simply punched the hooks out of them, straightened them out. So we didn't have to deal with those cranky little black marlin. And that's what like
Oh,
and that's what the light gauge hooks were all about. And people kept saying, oh, the light gauge hooks are great. And I go, yeah, they're great for 15 kilo line or 30 pound line and under, but over that, they're going to straighten out. And we made a range of light gauge hooks, including large sizes. Some guys in Sydney who are record hunters and stuff were trolling large lures on 15 kilo line and even lighter. It's pushing the limits of the drag, just trolling the lure, but that's what they were doing. And guys sort of started using them on 80 pound gear. And I go, no, they're not for 80 pound gear. You're just going to, if you get the blue that you've been waiting for all your life, you're just going to straighten it out on the leader. And we had this guy come in and it was becoming a fad. And there's countries and areas around Australia like New Zealand that use light gauge hooks on heavy tackle. And a guy came to me, we're talking about the customers always right. And he sort of said, oh, I want to buy some light gauge 35s. And I go, what for? Because mainly they were for Sydney, where the guys are hunting records on 15 kilo. And he said, oh, they'd be really good for blues. And I said, no, yeah, you straighten them out. And he said, no, I want them. I said, well, I'm not selling them to you. And I didn't. So he went off to a tackle shop and bought them anyway. and rang up the guy who works for me, who was a fisherman at the time, and said, Pete was right. I lost six blue marlin in a row on him. I said, yeah, well, people just don't listen. Um, and it's just interesting seeing, people's perceptions of stuff, and just don't understand that a fine gauge hook's going to straighten out on a heavy drag. And when you get that 1,000 pound blue marlin you've been waiting for, you're going to put some drag on it or you're not going to get it.
Yeah. You want to
So there's all
trust your
sort of things you're
gear.
dealing with. Yeah, yeah. So it's incredible.
I heard a story once about one of your customers, and I want you to either quash this rumor or tell me it was true. I heard a rumor that a gentleman saw you at some kind of fishing show or trade show or something, and you were talking about how to set up the lure, how to rig the hook in it, how you need to pull it in the spread, the whole 9 yards. And a
Yeah.
couple weeks later, he rings you up and he says, "Hey, listen, I did everything you told me to do, and now I have a marlin on. What do I do now?" Is that
Yeah.
true?
Yeah. It was a guy in Florida. And I think the phone call was like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I said, yeah, yeah, okay. Do you know which way the current's going? And he said, yeah. And I said, just go down current, keep the drag up. And I said, what drag are you on? I said, I backed it off. I said, don't back it off. Go back up to strike or go just over the button and go down current. The fish will pop up. And then don't back up to it and just intercept it and you'll catch it. And he did. So
Oh
it
my
was cool.
God, so it is true. That's awesome. I heard that.
Yeah.
I can't remember who told me that story, but it's like, oh yeah, this guy, he told him the whole 9 yards, told him what he needed to do, how to pull it, but didn't tell him what to do once the fish ate it.
Yeah. Well, that's I generally don't like talking about that because I can be held responsible if the guy gets hurt. Like I don't talk about leadering fish. I don't talk about getting the hooks out because if they do what I tell them to and something goes wrong, it's my fault. So
Man,
yeah,
to be
boy.
honest with you, Peter, I've had times because I've donated a lot of my time to fisheries here in the
Yeah,
States. Fisheries is, the blue marlin and the billfish have treated me well. That's how I pay my mortgage and pay all the things that I need to pay. So I donate my time to help manage fisheries.
yeah,
And they put out a video on how to properly dehook a big fish or a fish, a shark, a marlin. And I'm like, man, you guys are the government. You guys have deep pockets, but I wouldn't try to talk people how to pull a hook out of a fish, man.
yeah,
I, it, you're talking about of the overall grand scheme. There's a very small amount of people that know how to handle a fish like that at the side of the boat. Just tell them to cut it as close to the hook as possible, and the fish doesn't get hurt. The people don't get hurt. It just it like you said. I don't want to be held responsible, and very few people are capable of handling a fish like that at the side of the boat.
yeah, absolutely. And it's a dangerous thing. I don't know if you've ever had one hook in your hand and another one in a male, and I have. It's a pretty freaked out experience.
Ooh, it ain't good.
I was just lucky that my crew at the time were black belt karate guys and they actually punched them out and got the hook out. So I really didn't get any damage, but it could have been. I need these hands for making lures. I don't grab leaders because I need my hands, and it was just an accident. I'd unhooked an awful lot of marlin before that, but getting old, you're slower, and it was bad news. And there's a lot of stories of guys getting hooks in them, which is why we certainly recommend single hooks, so there's less damage than twin hooks and safer.
Oh, way
And man, the
safer.
amount of people that have got hooks in them for mahi mahi, my God, that's a lot of people.
Oh, I'll tell you, if mahi mahi's got up to be 400 pounds, I'd have to reconsider what I do for a living.
Yeah, yeah,
Those things are mean. They move. They're strong.
yeah. I mean, there is a way of handling them. I went through that in videos and stuff, but you've got to have your wits about it. I mean, you've got to be pretty fearless or drunk, but one or the other.
I, I gave
So,
that up a long time ago. So
yeah, but there's all those sort of things that you really don't want to talk about. I mean, have you been speared by a marlin yet?
once
Yeah,
luckily it was just a small white marlin.
yeah,
It was complete. I was young. I was maybe 19, 20,
yeah,
being stupid again. trying to take the hook out. So I wanted to try to lift him up, and you got the pointy end facing at you and the propeller end still in the water. And he decided he
Yeah,
wanted to increase the RPMs, and
yeah,
uh, he went right in my shoulder. And luckily, he went right back out. Not a big deal. I didn't even realize anything happened until we got the spread back out, and somebody's like, "Where's all the blood coming from?"
yeah. Yeah, I've got a similar story. My wife's first marlin was hitting. I lived on the water. I had a little 14-foot boat that I used to marlin fish from because I love small boat fishing. I just got a real buzz out of it and solo fishing. And my wife was having a cup of coffee. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. And she says, I want to catch a marlin. And I go, yeah, lots of people do. She said, no, no, I want to catch one. I go, yeah, all right, we'll go one day. She said, no, what about now? It's a nice day. And I said, okay, we'll go now. So 11 o'clock, she hooks up. It's a 4 meter boat. It's a tippy little V hull boat. You know, the bow's a 20-degree boat and it's a tiny boat and it's narrow. So my wife hooks up, we get it to the boat and I grab the leader and I tell her to go forward. So she comes over my side of the boat, tips me towards the water. I grab the bimini and get the outrigger tagline wrapped around that hand. And this hand gets all wrapped up in the leader and my wife goes up the front of the boat and this fish is just bouncing at me. And I had ended up with my front teeth punched out, roof of my mouth scraped, never actually punctured straight through, and 6 scrapes and just bleeding like hell from my back, from my neck, from my stomach. And my wife's having a ball. She's laughing her head off, saying, this is spectacular.
Loving it.
And I'm in shock and I'm going, I'm dying here. And she's going, oh, look at all the blood. And I go, it's mine. And she goes, what? And I go, it's mine. So luckily there was a friend in a big boat close who'd been watching us, came over and gave me all the first aid and stuff. But that was close. Had it speared me, I would have been gone. Anyway, she
Oh,
caught her first smile and she was happy. So that was good.
oh, that's what a hell of a story though for a first marlin.
Have you ever fished with your girlfriend?
Yes, actually, we've done a few times. She's not a very big troller.
Yeah.
It kind of bores her, but I've taken her. We've gone to Alaska and casting for salmon. She could cast all day long. She absolutely loves it.
Yeah. My wife was the same before cancer really got her. I fished with her. It's the most enjoyable thing is fishing with your partner. It was just the best.
Oh, I love it.
Apart from the rewards you get when fishing with your girlfriend when they do catch something. It's
The-
good.
the- those are added bonuses.
Yeah,
I
this is not a narrated video, so I go into that. But
we
she
we
ended
were
up with the, yeah,
go ahead. No,
okay.
no, please.
All right. She ended up with the most incredible hookup rate. She saw 30 marlin, she hooked 30 marlin, she caught 30 marlin.
Oh my gosh.
But listen to this. She would catch a marlin even if the line was jammed in the roller tip. She would catch a marlin even if the whole reel bird nested. She'd just keep whining and she would catch the marlin. She could hold the rod upside down on a rollered rod, still catch the marlin. It was incredible. And the most spectacular thing is with her was as she did about 6 weeks of chemo when she had one of the cancers she had, and she was stuffed. And the doctor said, "Oh, she's not going to make it. She's got about 2 months to live." And I said, "Oh, Joe, do you want to fish a tournament? There's a tournament next week. Do you want to fish it?" She's, could be your last time. And she said, yeah. She couldn't walk, so we actually went out for the week before, just looking at the spots, finding where the bait was. We were trolling lures, but no hooks, just to see what was there. And she ended up we caught 7 marlin for the day. She caught 6 of them. One of them was a double hookup. She smiled. That was cool. And the tournament total with 28 boats, two other people caught 1 marlin. So she just absolutely blitzed it. So, fishing
Wow.
with your partner, women are just so lucky with angling. She
They're
fished
great
for half a
anglers.
she fished for half an hour during a flathead tournament, which is one of the species here. Managed to land the biggest one for the tournament. It was a 3-day tournament. She only fished for half an hour, got the biggest one. Didn't get the trophy because the committee said it's only for males. There's no female angler in it, which was terrible. She fished for a species called luderick, which is a vegetarian fish. We use weed to catch them. She got bored with that, so put on a massive bit of bait, like 10 times the size you'd normally do. hooked a fish, and I said, no, that's a snag. It's not moving. Anyway, she ended up with an 8 pound luteric, and the biggest one I'd ever seen before was 3 pounds. So, just the luck of women is just remarkable. And you would have seen
That's
that a few times too, huh?
I think that's awesome. Uh, I don't want to say I don't know if my girlfriend's that lucky. Um, Actually, I don't know. She kicked my ass every time we go on salmon fishing or trout
Yeah,
fishing. We went to, well, she didn't really like Patagonia too much. That fly fishing wore her out. She goes, this is the stupidest thing
yeah.
in the world, just throwing the rod back and forth.
Oh, the flight, I've got to tell you this one is absolutely hilarious. My wife, I go to New Zealand, I do talks there like we're talking now. And
Yeah,
part of the deal was for every talk that I give, I get a day's fly fishing. And my
fair
wife was with
enough.
me. Yeah, it was great. My wife was with me on one of the trips, and we were actually being taken around New Zealand by Hamish, who was the Commonwealth fly fishing champion at the time. And I said, can you teach Joe how to cast a fly rod? And she went, yeah. So we're sitting in about a foot of water. Joe's trying to learn how to cast. She can't. She can't get the fly anywhere. The water's turned to absolute mud. Hamish is very frustrated. The fly lands on the top of Joe's boot. We're really in shallow water. The
Oh,
brown jumps out, eats the fly off a boot, screams off, and Joe just hangs onto the line and snaps it straight off. Okay. And she's happy. She hooked a trout. She didn't care whether she landed or not. Hamish saw that, walked off, snapped his rod, and just kept walking. I haven't seen him
oh
since.
my gosh.
So I had a fun life with my wife.
How long have you guys been married?
32 years now.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
But
I
I learned really easy. Learned really easy. Don't tell her what to do. She won't tell you what to do. She's never said you can't go fishing, you can't go on that trip. I never said to her you can't go do what you want. So it just works out fine. And she never
that's
tells
how
me how much money we got. She just lets me know when we don't have any. So
make some more lures.
it makes them all lose. Yeah, that's what she
Make some
says.
more lures.
Yeah.
Listen, I think that's I've never been married. I'm so commitment phobic. I won't even buy green bananas. I can't even commit for 3 days for them to fucking ripen up.
Yeah, look, everybody's different. I never thought I'd get married. I never thought anybody would say yes. I'd certainly asked a few before my wife, who said, no, 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 you're not stable enough to be, you're not rich enough, you're not doing that. And you
Oh,
just go fishing. So, but she was good. Even the first week I met her, I sort of said, look, I'm going to Fiji for 6 weeks doing a bunch of Pakula schools. She said, well, who's going to look after the business? I said, no one. She said, you want me to? And I said, you go for your life. So that's how she got into the business and came back, and she had a bunch more orders than I ever got. So kept her on.
wow.
So it's been a good partnership. And that's what it
I,
is. It's,
that's awesome.
yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I like to hear that.
And I managed
It's
to get a stepson who was 16 when I got him and never had to change a nappy. So I was happy with that. So it's all good.
you get all the benefits of just somebody loving you.
That's it. That's it.
I'm just Uncle Fly to everybody.
Yeah.
It's easier. Oh, you want to cry? Yeah, don't cry to me. Hold on. Let me, here, take them back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so did you get fly from being a fly fisherman?
Oh, no, sir. No, sir. I got it a long time ago. Um, but I have a story. It's not the story. I'm happy to tell you about a story after we get
Will
offline.
do.
My girlfriend doesn't even know how I got the name Fly, and I just don't tell anybody. Somebody told me not to tell anybody ever again, and I took it to heart. They,
Fair enough. Fair
yeah,
enough.
I used to tell everybody, and it's like, it's been a while. Oh my gosh, it's been almost 20 years since I told somebody the story how I got it.
Wow.
I told this marketing guy, he goes, don't ever tell anybody the story again.
I'll get it
And,
off your offline.
okay. I'll tell you the story. Everybody else, I gotta continue watching all the shit I put on
All right.
in case I slip up.
But I tell
Ah.
you, I love my fly fishing. I fish for bones in Arataki, and I'm at the stage of fly fishing where I think the most expensive, the more you pay for a rod, the more you pay for a reel, the more you pay for a line, it's going to make you better. It doesn't, but I'm still at that stage.
But that's
I've just bought
good.
myself a whole string of Asquith rods, and in Australia they're close to $3,000 a rod. Right.
Oh,
But I'm going to look like I know what I'm doing. I just got to
well,
watch out that I never actually cast them in front of anybody.
now, do you do a lot of it there in Australia, or do you end up going to New Zealand and going trout fishing over there?
No, bone fishing in the Cook Islands in a place called
Okay,
Atherton. It's still a pristine, perfect lagoon, which is changing as they all do, but it's just amazing. I've actually hooked monster bonefish, got the leader to the tip, and actually broke them off because I wasn't ready to catch a fish that big.
fair enough.
And the biggest ones I've actually landed around 13 to 15 pounds. So that's pretty cool. And it's
You
good
know,
because it's sight fishing, it's exciting. The fish scream off, you got drags running all over the place. It's good stuff.
when I'm listening to all these stories from you, I remember of a gentleman that I met when I was young, when I was 18 years old. He's the one that taught me. I had just gotten my first job on a boat, and
Yeah,
the captain of the boat, he was the mate before me. He's 6, 7 years older than me. He's like, you need to come over here and teach this guy some stuff. Uh,
yeah,
so he came over and he taught me how to do a bimini twist, and he taught me all this stuff, and I kept asking questions about trying to catch a sailfish and trying to catch a billfish. He goes, "Can I give you a piece of advice?" He goes, "You can go out there and learn everything you want about blue marlin fishing. You can
yeah.
learn everything about sailfishing and be a sailfish fisherman, or you can just learn everything about fishing and just
That's
be a
it.
good fisherman."
That's it.
And I really took it to heart because I've had the opportunity to catch all kinds of things. It's not just billfish. Now, like I said, that's what helped me pay the bills. But
Sure.
when I take time off and I go to Patagonia, I go to Alaska, or I got invited one time to go to London, Ontario to go
Wow.
catch trout. And
Yeah.
I had so much fun. I just like being outside.
Yeah.
And I like talking to other fishermen, and I like to uh, hear people's stories about why they go out there. It's I had somebody one time. I was, with all the stuff I do online and marketing, I'm helping people, and somebody says, "Oh, you're just a spokesman for that company." I'm like, "No, no, no, no. They're a friend of mine, and I'm helping my friend, so we spend a lot of time together." I go, but
Yeah.
the way I look at it when I wake up every day, my job, there's somebody out there that's looking at golf clubs and fishing rods.
Yeah.
My job is to make sure they pick up the fishing rods.
Yeah.
Once they pick up the fishing rods and they come into our world, then it's your
Yeah.
time to it's my friend's time to sell their products, whatever their products is, whether it's your lures, whether it's somebody's boat, whether it's somebody's rods, if it's somebody getting a job as a boat captain. Once they come into the industry, it's up to you guys. I just want to introduce them to fishing. That's my job,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
the thing is, with the fishing is there's so many good people in the fishing trade. There are so many good people. They're great people. And you're talking about Alaska. I was really fortunate enough to go to Alaska with Jim Teeney of Teeney Fly Lines. I don't know if you know Jim.
No, I
The most
don't.
delightful person you can spend time with. I caught my salmon in Oregon, and then we went to Alaska, caught a bunch more salmon. And I'm sharing the same tent as Jim. And in the evening, he would pull out the photos of his grandkids and say a prayer for them. Can you
How cool
imagine
is
that?
that? That's awesome.
How good a guy is that? How good a
Yeah.
guy is that? In the middle of the wilderness of Alaska. Not that there's any wilderness in Alaska because there was 200 other damn boats on the river, but it was just a delight, and the nature of the people in fishing is just spectacular. They're there to help you, not just about fishing, but emotionally, and you can talk to people about your troubles that are fishermen, and it's just the best sanctuary there is. And
100%.
that's what I look at fishing. It's my sanctuary. Business, running a business and productions, it's stressful. And just going fishing is just the biggest de-stressor there is.
It- It's I'm so blessed, and for me, I thank God every night that I've been able to get a job as a fisherman, build a
Yeah,
career out of it,
yeah,
then build a business, and now I get to connect to fishermen all over the world.
yeah,
I mean, think about for me, I think I'm very lucky that I was able to just send you a quick message the other day. Hey, Peter, you want to join in on my podcast? I'd love to just talk to you, just have a
Yeah,
conversation. And you're
yeah.
like, absolutely. And that to
Oh,
me makes me feel like I am so blessed. Always think of myself when I was that 8-year-old kid walking to the seawall,
yeah,
like you were talking, and
yeah,
all I would look at the boats go by. We didn't have a boat. We didn't have a boat until I got older, and I
yeah.
had never gone offshore. And here I can jump on a plane and go anywhere I want in the world because I love to fish.
That's right. And it's just it's the whole scene of fishing. Like we're considered game fishermen and all that sort of stuff. And you've got a reputation of being chill and honest. And you're not the only one who's chill and honest in this
N-
industry. There's lots
No,
of them, but you portray it properly. And
thank you.
the fishing's a part of fishing. Catching fish is a part of fishing, but really it's the sanctuary, it's the community, it's screwing around with gear. But really, to me, fishing really has always been my sanctuary. Sure, I've been competitive and I've won a bunch of tournaments and stuff because I've had the ins and the education from all the people I've met who have been free with their education, with their knowledge and stuff. And that's the thing, if people are good fishermen, they share their knowledge. If somebody's not going to share their knowledge with you, they don't know anything.
100%. 100%. If they're not sharing, they don't really believe it.
That's right. That's right. They might have different opinions, but they believe in that and they're successful with it.
Listen, I tell a lot of people, I go, you were talking about hooks and knots and all this different things. I'm like, hey, listen, find something you like. And if you believe in it,
Yeah.
you keep going until you don't believe in it anymore. Because I can tell you what I do, but if you don't believe in what I do, then why would you do it?
Ultimately, both of us are selling the same thing, which is confidence.
Or
I'm selling confidence in a product that if you do that, you can have the confidence to go and catch something. You're selling exactly the same thing. And I've never been confident about my fishing. Never, never, ever been confident, never been content. And I meet a bunch of guys who are content that they think they know what they're doing and they're doing it the best way possible. And I just go, man, I wish I could be like that. But I never have been. I'm always developing stuff and always thinking there's a better way and all that kind of stuff.
I
And I
get
think
it.
that comes from my roots in the clothing trade where you got to come up with something new every season, or you're out. So maybe that comes from there, but I've never been content with it. But I've certainly loved every minute of the fishing that I've done. That's for
Oh,
sure.
that's the, I always tell everybody, uh, catching is actually reeling in the fish. Fishing is the time you spend with your friends and family telling stories in between bites.
Yeah,
When somebody wants to talk to me about something, I'm like, hey, how about if I just meet you on your boat and we'll spend 8 hours together and see what's going on. And your phone doesn't work, my phone doesn't work. Let's talk about whatever it is you want to talk about.
yeah.
And um, and if I like you, okay, let's do something together. If I don't like you, it's no harm, no foul.
And that can happen. That can happen. You get somebody who's cocky and they've actually never caught anything, but they can't even pronounce the terminology right and stuff. You go, oh, here we go. But you don't have to get on with everything. But yeah, look, you meet enough people to make it all worthwhile. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's such a fraternity. It's one of the things that I absolutely love. I have been on boats where I don't speak. I'm the only person that speaks English. I've more than one time because I fish Japan quite often. I fish Japan 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah,
I fished the JIBT. I fished it the last 5 years in a row, and then the Ori tournament. I've fished it 3 years in a row. And I love it. I fish on boats and I got some American friends over there. Hey, come fishing with me. I'm like, man, I talk to you all year long. These guys I don't talk to
yeah,
because we don't know, we can't pick up the phone and, make signs. So I want to
yeah.
hang out with them. At least, we can share knots, we can share hook sets, and that's what I enjoy. I don't speak Japanese, whatever. I eat benzo boxes with them and uh, have a good time. Then we all go out to dinner at night and we tell stories and I share my favorite Japanese words with them and they laugh at me. And
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
I did a bunch of trips to Indonesia in the old days, and that was the same sort of thing. They didn't speak a word of English, and It was cool. It was all right.
Yeah,
Still nice
it's
people. Still very hospitable.
and we're fishermen.
Yeah.
Catching a blue marlin is catching a blue marlin. I have a Japanese friend. He's a car dealer. He owns this pretty big car dealership in Nagoya. And whenever I get a free moment, I go to Nagoya. If we can go fishing, great. If not, we have lunch. And
Yeah.
but uh, there was one time he was trying to get me to teach him how to tie a bimini twist.
Oh
And
well.
here I am in his office. There's a showroom floor. There's people looking at cars. His employees keep coming in and asking him things in Japanese. And all I can understand is, just get out of here. Leave me alone. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to learn a bimini twist here. All in Japanese. I'm assuming that's what he said, but he's just kicking everybody out of his office. And we sat there
Yeah.
having a great time tying bimini twist.
A man who knows his priorities.
Yeah. But you think about it, there's so many of these successful fishermen. They're successful in their business, but this is their passion. And the fact
Yeah.
that we can share this passion. I called one gentleman once. I called his office. This was back before cell phones were everywhere.
Yeah.
And I called up his office and I said, "Yeah, can I speak with so and so?" "Oh no, he's in a board meeting." I'm like, "Oh yeah, not a problem. Could you just tell him that Fly Navarro called?" "Oh, hold on a second. He told me if you ever call to interrupt whatever he's doing." And I'm
Cool.
like, "What?" I'm like, "Okay. Hey man, what's going on? What do you got going on?" "Okay, well, you had asked me a question. I got you the answer that you wanted, and I'm calling you." He just wanted to talk about fishing,
Yeah. Yeah. And
so
that's part of our job is to basically have that communication with people and that relationship. It's it's the whole everything you do is based on relationships. You can
oh
sort of think the smartest guy in the world, but everything you do is based on relationships. And if you can't be nice to people and communicate with people, don't even start anything.
no.
And even with the young people today, we employ juniors from time to time. Something's happening in the world. These guys can't communicate. They can't
So
talk.
there, you do have a very valid point. A lot of these young kids, they spend so much time on the phone, they don't know how to have a regular conversation.
Yeah. And even
Um,
to the point where I'm part of the IGFA Oceania. I'm actually the chairman of the education department. And, they're sort of saying, get some young kids involved. And and I've spoken to a bunch and they just can't communicate. And
it's
I don't know how we're supposed to teach them anything if they can't communicate.
You got to figure out a way to communicate to them through that phone.
Yeah. And they're scared. Like you actually have a conversation with them, they don't know how to respond and they start. I've even had them shaking. I'm just talking to them normally. And,
Yeah,
they're
it's
freaking out because somebody's trying to tell them something that they don't understand. And they don't know how to sort of say, well, I don't understand that. It's incredible. It's
yeah, they
incredible.
don't. If you text it to them, they'd figure it out.
Yeah.
But to have an actual conversation, and listen, they're not all that bad.
No, they're
Uh,
not.
but it's an overall. Uh, I, See, for me, I'm very lucky because I spend so much time online. I get a lot of young kids that reach out to me. I get a lot of them, and it's the communication through the phone, so you build some trust. So
Yeah.
when you do see them out somewhere, uh, now they feel like they know you.
Yeah.
They feel like they know you and they can have a light conversation. We're not talking about in depth. There's no way we can have a 2 hour conversation like we're having here.
Yeah.
But you can have a Hey, what? Tell me you went fishing. Tell me what. Oh yeah, yeah. So that other day I went up the river and I took my boat and we caught this and I caught some mullet and I put it in a 5 gallon bucket and it's like they know how to
That's perfect.
tell.
Perfect. 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 Absolutely.
Yeah. But the biggest thing is breaking them out of that shell, getting them to trust you that,
Yeah.
oh, you know me. Because it's not like my generation or your generation where, listen, we didn't have a phone. We'd have a stick and a ball and we just either hit the ball or hit each other with the stick, you know?
And I went
Or
fishing.
or when fishing where we sat down and made fun of you. Ha, I've caught two. You've only caught one, sucker.
Yeah,
You
all
know?
that.
Yeah. which listen, I still do at 52. It's we caught three. You guys only caught, actually, I won't say shit because I know tomorrow it'll come back and get me.
Yeah, I don't get involved in that anymore.
I
Okay.
don't get involved in that shit anymore. I'm not, thank you very much for giving me what I had today. I appreciate
Yeah.
it. I worked very hard for it. And it's funny you say that because there are a lot of guys that are confident, but I think deep down inside, we're always pushing. We're always pushing ourselves.
Well, a lot of us do. And basically, like you've got to the top of your tree and you're doing what you're doing, there's not many people more famous than you. And in my tree, I meet people, I get stuff from all over the world, and I'm amazed that people know me around the world. It's incredible. You know.
I, I do a lot of fishing in the Middle East. I have a business partner over there.
Yeah.
Uh, we're working on building the first ever fishing club in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And
Okay.
yeah, so last time I was there, he had asked me to stay some extra time. I didn't have it in my schedule, but he was getting ready for a tournament. And I sat there, helped him rig like 3 dozen lures, every single one of them with your hook rigs. Every single one of them.
So I think I know who it is.
I'll give you one guess. His son just texted me.
Okay. So he caught the fish in Fujairah. Finally got his first marlin in Fujairah.
We did. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a lovely guy. Yeah. He's
It's Ziad.
I don't remember names. I don't remember.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, no, that was cool, and he was very keen and very happy. And his video he sent me, man, that was loud. But he
Yeah,
was
we had a good
keen.
we fished that tournament 4 years now in Fujairah.
Wow. I
Yeah.
actually about 8 years ago. That was a hilarious story. Actually, I can't tell it. Anyway, bad luck, everyone. In a nutshell, a guy said, "Come, on, we want to go and get blue marlin." I said, "Okay, show me the charts." And I look at the charts, and I said, "Okay, they'll be there." And he had some reports from years and years ago that somebody caught something there. And I said, "Okay, well, let's go there." And I said, "We're going to need all 80s." And he said, "I haven't got all 80s. I've got 50s and 80s." And I said, "Okay." Anyway, an hour after we started trolling, we hooked a double hook up of fish over 800 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
And the crew didn't do anything. So one of the reels got spooled, the other one just cut off. So it was cool. And I think I ran over one of them driving the boat, which was my fault. But I don't think he's ever been marlin fishing again. I think it spooked the hell out of him. So,
And sometimes you scare people.
but they
I
were certainly hospitable.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love the Middle East and I've fished all around it. I've fished Fujairah, I've fished Egypt, Saudi Arabia. It's just the whole area is super,
Did you
super
get to
nice.
Did you get to Muscat?
I have not been to Muscat yet. I've been invited, but it's always it's a scheduling thing, you know.
Yeah.
When I go over there, um, it's a long way to go to just go for a week.
Oh, for sure.
So I try to, I got to try to get 2 to 3 weeks to try to get over there. And usually I bounce around a little bit. I'll meet up with Big Z and fish Fujairah. Um, then we'll go back to KSA. Him and I, we put on the first ever international fishing tournament in the history of the kingdom back in 2019,
Oh, cool.
and it was
Really?
way, way cool. It was
So
way cool.
where's your next bucket list trips? Where do you want to get to?
Oh my gosh, bucket list.
Yeah. That's just
I have one bucket list fish left.
yeah.
It is a golden Dorado in the Amazon.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and half of it has to do with it's in the Amazon.
Yeah.
It's not just catching the fish, it's the trek getting down there, doing it, saying I'm down there. But mainly it's being around the people. That's what I really enjoy. I like to immerse myself in the culture.
Yeah. I got two. I want an Aparima out of the Amazon or the Black River off the Amazon.
Uh-huh.
And the other one is I really want to get to Diego Garcia because that's just
Oh,
the best blue marlin fishing on the planet. And there is a boat there. And I think the guys who are doing the worldwide tour are actually going there or been there. So it'd be really cool to get there because that's just sort of the last dot in the oceans that really hasn't been thrashed or known anything about.
That
and the
is
structure around it is ridiculous,
that is definitely a very secretive place.
isn't it?
Yeah, Diego Garcia. Now I fished the Seychelles and I fished the Maldives, but
Yeah,
you want to talk about remote. Diego Garcia is like right in the middle of nowhere.
yeah, it is perfect, huh?
Yeah, nobody can bother you. Have you ever gotten a chance to fish Ascension?
No, I haven't done much of that sort of stuff at all. I
That's
really,
another one in the middle of nowhere.
yeah, the game fishing stuff I've really done is just about all Australia, New Guinea, Indonesia, and as far west as Tahiti. That's about it.
Okay.
Um, I really haven't done much anywhere else, and I've really never had the money to sort of do that sort of speculative traveling. I've had a few offers of people paying me to go places, but they've all fallen through. But certainly, there's a bunch of places I'd still like to go and fish. Like I went to Alaska, fished salmon and trout and stuff, but no game fishing. It's pretty much been around my area when it boils down to it.
Yeah, but you have some of the greatest stuff right there in Australia. That's the
We
best
do.
part.
Yeah, we do. We're very lucky, and especially where I live on the Gold Coast, it's sort of the interaction between the northern tropical waters and the southern cooler waters. So we get all the species here, and the marlin fishing here is berserk.
Is it
Uh,
really?
when I first moved up here, I lived on the water, had my boat out the front, and I would go fishing before work and after work. I'd get up at dawn, which is about 4 a.m., go out, be back by 8. I've caught three marlin, go back out at 3 o'clock, catch another three, and come back in. It was just the place had just opened up. The seaway structure and breakwalls had just been done when I first moved up. And you'd go out in the morning and there'd be 10 acres of bait, sort of 2 miles off the coast with little black marlin skirting all around. It was incredible. And that
Really?
lasted about 4 years until more boats went out and spooked the hell out of them all. But and the blue marlin fishing here is 12 months of the year. Striped marlin, we get the migration going south and the migration going north. So we get that. We get yellowfin most of the year. The Gold Coast is probably the best cosmopolitan city game fishing area that I know of. It's spectacular fishing here. And
Wow. I didn't realize it was that good. I knew it was good, but I
it
didn't
is.
know it was that
Yeah,
good.
it is. It is. I mean, Australian weather's crap. So you can't come here expecting to go fishing for a day. We get bad weather that lasts for 4 or 5 weeks at a time. And the worse the weather is, the better the fishing is after it and generally before it. So it sort of works out. But it's not the place you can come in from America and say, I'll go fishing on the Gold Coast for a week. It's not going to happen.
You guys definitely have some weather.
Yeah.
When I fish
And
with Spera,
boat
they were
prices here are insane. One of the local game boats, which is a spectacular boat, I think it's a 55 footer, um, $7,500 a day charter fees. Australian,
holy,
which is about half US, but it's still a lot
it's
of money.
still that's pricey.
Yeah. Australia's become a very expensive country in every way. And it's getting tougher for the market, for the overseas market to come here fishing now.
Really.
Yeah.
What do you get mainly now? Do you get a lot of Chinese and Japanese coming in fishing now?
No, the Japanese came for about 15 years in the 80s and 90s. The Chinese are starting to, but they're mainly bottom fishing and stuff, not so much game fishing. We're
Okay.
not getting the Chinese game fishing. I think they're mainly going to Hawaii and Okinawa, not Okinawa, but basically um, they were going to Palau. They got kicked out of there. They didn't want Chinese tourists there anymore. So I think they're mainly going to Hawaii and mainland USA.
Okay. I
The Chinese game fishermen that I speak to basically want to fish the USA. I
fair
don't know if they get
enough.
this, but that they talk about fishing USA and Hawaii. Hawaii is the one that comes up the most with all the Asian charters, I think.
Yeah, it's a huge market there
Yeah,
between Japanese and Chinese.
yeah,
I
and
fished in Okinawa a couple times and there was a big Chinese contingency there.
yeah,
Very big. I was surprised. I didn't
yeah,
realize that they spent that much time in Japan.
yeah. No, they do, and even the game fishing out of Japan, Southern Islands is pretty good. We do actually sell a lot of lures in Japan, which I appreciate very much because they're great customers and very easy to deal with. Um, but the reports I get are spectacular. It's good fishing. It's
I,
good
I,
fishing.
I love Japan. Japan
Yeah.
fishing, what I tell everybody, as far as numbers, overall numbers, like in the US, we have 66 million fishermen in the United States, but we have 350 million people. But
Yeah.
Japanese, I would say more than 50% of their population fishes.
Yes, it's cultural. It's totally
It's
cultural.
very cultural.
Yeah. And Vietnam's the same, Cambodia is the same, Lagos is the same. Basically the Asian cultures are based on fisheries, whether it's inshore, offshore, and freshwater. It's huge for them. And even in Indonesia, in the days of President Suharto, I've got a bunch of stories about this. Game fishing was huge in Indonesia, huge, because President Suharto was a crazy game fisherman. And business was good up there while he was there, and the tournaments were spectacular. And a lot of people involved, that maybe because they wanted to suck up to Suharto, I don't know, but there was certainly a lot of people involved in it. And they caught a bunch of fish. Billy Bilson went up there to open it up.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah, I don't know if he told you about that. And he was there for, I think, pretty much 3 months for a year, I think for about 4 or 5 years, going with a friend of mine, Chris Hall. They pretty much opened up the Indonesian game fishing. But there's lots of places where game fishing's taking off. Cook Islands in the island of Rarotonga, they're catching a lot, well, not lots, but a considerable number of sort of 800-pound plus blue marlin consistently.
Wow.
And that's spectacular. The boats are pretty rugged at the moment. They're certainly not up to American standards. At Otaki, they're catching a lot of yellowfin and blue marlin out of there too, not big ones for some reason. And a lot of the islands, even Norfolk Island, islands of Australia, Lord Howe, have all got good fishing. Fiji has gone pretty quiet. I don't know what's happening with the economy there, but the fishing there is pretty spectacular as well. So, I really haven't ventured far because the fishing's good about, within 8 hours of where I live. As far as I've got is Hawaii, because there's been no need to sort of go any further.
Why go any further? You got all these great places. Have you fished Tahiti yet?
No, I'd love to. We used to sell a lot of lures there. We don't sell many there now, but the fishing there's absolutely spectacular too.
Yeah,
And New
Tommy.
Zealand is spending a lot of time with a boat called the Ultimate Lady, and they're
Yeah,
catching a lot
and
of.
he won the World Cup this year out of Tahiti. Tommy.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I uh, I was just telling the story to somebody to a buddy of mine in Croatia right before we got on. I was telling the story about his boss. His boss is 80, I think 84 years old, and after they won, I FaceTime. I like to FaceTime the winners and
Yeah, yeah.
say, "Hey, that's it. All lines are out. You're the winners." And I'm like, "Hey, I'm calling to make the announcement." He goes, "Hold on a second." He goes, "I got to get my young wife over here." He goes, I got a young woman. She's 67. I'm 84. I'm 84. He was so, he wanted to tell me about his young wife so much more than me telling him that he won the tournament.
Oh,
But he
cool.
was very excited. He's like, Fly, I've been fishing this tournament for 12 years. This is
I,
the one I want to win more than anything else. So yeah, it was a great conversation and just listen, I'm assuming you know Tommy pretty well. He's a great guy.
yeah,
And his boss is phenomenal.
yeah, absolutely. I've got a great story about Croatia. If you want to hear it, it'll take
Oh,
about
give
five
it
minutes.
to me, man. Give it to me.
So I used to do Pakula schools out of where I live. Guys who'd come from overseas, and we'd have people from pretty much all over the world. And this guy comes over from Croatia and goes, I want to learn about catching marlin because I have 3 charter boats in Croatia. And I go, okay, cool. And the first day we always do onshore, and he's cool. He's understanding it. He's tying the knots. He's setting the drags. He's doing all that. We take him out. The waves are this high, and he's going, it's rough. And I go, no, it's not really rough at all. I think I was in the 25-foot Grady at the time. Anyway, we go out there and we hook a marlin. It's using 15-kilo line because he really is a beginner. Normally I use 8 on those little things. And it's all of, God, 30-pound max. And the fish jumps and he just freezes. And I go, what's the matter? He goes, it's huge. And I go, that's not a huge marlin. Just wind the handle. And he's shaking like hell. He's shaking like hell. He's just, the adrenaline's hit him. He can't wind the handle. He can't do anything. And I go, Okay. Anyway, we settle him down. We take the rod off him. The decky pulls it in. We let it go. We come back in, and I haven't said anything more to him about it. So it's okay. Well, that's what a marlin looks like. And he goes, okay. And I go, so tell me about this charter operation you got in Croatia. And we're in the Gold Coast Broadwater, and he says, okay, our boats are sort of like in this marina here, and you see that island over there. It's a mile away. It's inside the harbour. And I go, so it's inside the harbour. And he goes, yeah. And I go, okay. So what happens is that we normally deal with Russian billionaires, like the oligarchs. Okay. So they come on the boat. We put the lures in as soon as we leave the harbour, and we troll to the island. And I go, okay. Um, so it's really shallow water. And he goes, yeah, yeah, it's really shallow water. And he goes, so you don't catch anything? He goes, no, no, we haven't caught anything. And I go, oh, okay. And we get to the island, and then the Russians get off and go and have lunch. And we got girls on the island for them and everything. And they go and have a five-star lunch, which is really good. And we leave them there for 2 hours. We might go back and pick up another bunch of Russians and troll to the island. And when we pick them up after lunch, we troll back. And I go, okay, so you don't catch anything again? He said, no, no, no. But we got the big plastic marlin on the wharf. So he gets the photo with the rods, and the rods have got diamond encrusted on the top, right? This is hilarious. And I go,
Oh
okay.
my God.
And they hold the Pakula lures up to get the photo to take back and show their friends that they caught a big marlin. I go, and that's your charter business? And he goes, yeah. And I go, okay, so why did you come here to learn this stuff when that's all you're doing? He said, I have to know how to talk to them. And okay. Okay.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God, that's hilarious.
Croatia's got a spectacular tuna fishery off the coast,
Very good tuna
you
fishery.
know, and now they're catching dolphin fish there and all sorts of stuff and spearfish and little broadbill, during the day.
Yeah.
It's spectacular. But this is what this guy did, and that's what his business was. It was kind of hilarious.
Listen,
Cool.
if he makes a living off of it,
Yeah. And the guy was actually an Australian to start with. He actually had uh, a steak restaurant in Sydney, and he moved out of Croatia, started a big thing with partners and stuff, having hotels and charter boats for the Russians and stuff. It's just hilarious. It's the funniest
okay.
thing I've it's, yeah, it's cool. But I mean, if he wants to buy cool lures and troll in the bay and everybody's happy, it's good.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong
I
with
think
that.
I think the stuff on the island's what attracts them. But anyway, good
It
luck to them.
happened. They don't care about catching fish,
Oh, they don't care
but
about
they're
it.
having a good time.
That's it. They get the good lunch. They get all the vodka on the boats going forwards and going back. They get the lunch and the girls on the island. So good luck to them.
And it's beautiful over there. Croatia,
Yeah,
the Adriatic Sea is
yeah, yeah.
oh my
And
gosh.
I'm pretty sure Epstein didn't own that island, so it's pretty cool.
No, that wasn't one of his. Here's the crazy part that people, when everybody talks about his island, St. Thomas. When we
Yeah,
leave out of Vessop Bay to go fishing in St. Thomas, you go out of Vessop Bay and hang a left. If you hang a right, his island's right there. It was only a mile away.
yeah,
Yeah, I'd see when we weren't fishing, he owned the first 10 slips. So all
wow,
his boats, he had all kinds of boats. He had workers on the island. They were constantly, they were everywhere. You know,
incredible. Yeah,
I'd see him a few times a month. He'd go by in one of his rubber boats coming back and forth to town, whatever. I didn't know what was going on. That was before all this shit that's in the news now. There's the rich guy. Okay.
yeah. It's amazing he didn't stay there. I mean, if he'd stayed there, it would have been
Thank God. Oof.
expedition. Yeah, unbelievable. Anyway,
Listen, no
I
way.
think the media certainly punched the hell out of that as much as they could, huh?
I don't think there's anything left, to be honest with you. Now it's just picking on the government, whether they let the stories out or not, you know?
Yeah, try to pick on Trump or Biden or somebody, just
What?
picking on them.
Yeah. It's don't get me wrong, I'd like to see somebody held accountable, but really I got more concerns. Like when
Yeah,
am I going to go fishing again?
yeah,
That's more important to me.
yeah.
When am I going fishing again, or when do I get to talk to somebody else about fishing? That's
100%. Yeah,
that's the most important thing.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can I like to talk about it and help people do it. And I just had somebody yesterday from Kuwait reach out to me. Hey, I want to go somewhere in April. I go, how far away do you want to travel? Oh, can I stay within 8 hours? Yeah. What do you want to catch? You know? Okay, let me make some
Yeah.
phone calls for you.
Cool.
Yeah, it's
Set up. That's good. I mean, that
yeah.
that being able to do that's really special, and to have the all the contacts that you got to set people up, it's spectacular.
Number one, it's nice to set everybody up, but it's also nice to help my friends out.
Yeah,
My friends that have businesses that, hey, they want, they want new customers, they need new customers. And all I ever ask any of my friends, if I recommend you, always return the call. Don't ever not return a call to somebody.
that's right. Yeah,
If they call you up and they're like, hey, listen, Fly gave me your number. He says you're a good guy. At least call him up. Hey, listen, I'm booked this year. How about next year? That's all I ask. Take care of these people. I'm putting my name on the line for you.
yeah.
Like somebody somebody calls up and hey, where do I buy a Pakula lure? Hey, Peter, I'm sending somebody to call you. They got some questions. Just call them back. That's all I give a shit about. Again, it goes like you said. There's so many cool people in this industry. You always want to help people out, or
And you
uh,
got to be available. You got to be available. That's it.
that's the biggest thing. And I'm not going to mention the company. There was one company. I had a very bad experience with them, and they're like, I was on the boat. It wasn't even me riding along, or it wasn't for me. It was for other people. But I overheard them. 90% of the people don't even know what they're doing. I'm like, huh, really? Is that how you run your company? Is that, you're the spokesperson for that company? Okay, well, it wasn't,
Yeah,
but maybe a month later, somebody said something, and I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm not doing anything to help that company. And they're like, can I ask you why? And I'm like, absolutely, this happened.
yeah,
Can I report that? And I'm like, go ahead. I don't care. They can even call me up. I'll tell them to their face. And I did, and it went up the chain, and they found that guy. He goes, man, I didn't know who you were. I go, that's exactly my fucking problem.
that's exactly. Yeah, and you look basically fishermen, regardless of whether you're a fly fisherman, trout,
Eh,
walleye, bass,
eh, you would
marlin,
have you would have
anything,
treated
right?
me differently because now you know who I am. What about that mom and dad that take their kids out fishing and they don't know how to use your product, so now they
Yeah,
won't go fishing another time?
that's right.
And that's why I won't support you.
Yeah, and people don't understand it's one community.
Exactly.
The blue marlin fishermen, the same community as the trout guys. We're not enemies. We're basically after the same thing.
Yeah, and we overlap. You know how many of my friends go bass fishing in Lake Okeechobee here?
Sure,
We'll,
sure.
we're talking, last time I saw him was in the Bahamas or in the Virgin Islands or somewhere catching blue marlin. The next thing you know, I see him catching bass here in Lake
Yeah,
Okeechobee because we're just fishermen. We just want to go fishing.
yeah. And it really gets to the stage where you can't go anywhere without somebody recognizing you or you recognizing them. Even you're getting on a plane, the guy behind you goes, "Hey, are you Pete or are you Fly?" And you go, "Yeah," and you have a conversation, and then you get through customs and you sit down and have a cup of coffee. It's fabulous. It's what it's about. Like being infamous or famous or whatever you want to call it. It's a bit of work. It's not free. Nobody pays us for being famous. Nobody has ever walked up to
No.
me and said, "Hey, you're Peter Pakula. Here's $10."
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think anybody's ever walked up to you and say, "Hey, you're Peter Pakula. Oh, you're Fly. You're famous. Here's $10." They don't do that.
No.
Um, so it's free work that we do because of our passion. And
Exactly.
the fact that we happen to make money out of what we're doing is incredible. And for the first years I was making lures, I actually gave them all away. I never thought I'd have a business making lures. I never thought I could live to the age of 72 and have a business that's lasted almost 50 years. I mean, it's mind-boggling, but it's only because that I've tried to be friendly. I'm certainly not the friendliest person in the world, and I certainly don't tolerate idiots very easily at all. But I've done my best to basically be a somebody in the sport that basically makes the sport pleasant for other people. You know, and
Yeah.
and even working with the IGFA and the education system and stuff, it's something that you feel that you kind of owe because of the life you've had that's been so good. So we're
100%.
we're trying to pass it on, and that's all we're doing. Um, you're not paying me to do this. I'm not paying you to do this. It's just two guys having a good
Talking.
time, because
Yeah.
we've got a common interest and a passion.
Exactly. I wanted to do it. First of all, I wanted to catch up with you. But at the same time, there's so many people that pull your lures. I want them to know who you are. That, think about it. How many people, just whatever the number is, it's not important, but how many lures you sell in a year?
I
Think
don't know.
about that. Let's say the number of new people is 50%. Let's just say 50%, whatever that number is.
Yeah,
And they know Pakula. They don't realize that Pakula Lures is the second half of your name. It's your
yeah,
last name. I want to give them the opportunity to know, why did you start this? Why do you do it? That that's the biggest reason why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I want people. I've
okay.
created such a network. I want to
Yeah,
share with all the people that I know. I want to share your
look,
guys' story.
yeah. Look, the reason I went into it, it's a I hate authority. Like because my parents went through World War II as a Polish soldier, ended up in Auschwitz, and I just hate authority. And I actually had a reference from one of my old employees when I was actually working in jobs, and he sort of the reference just went, Peter Pakula is a pain in the ass. Never tell him what to do, except for the first interview. Tell him what you expect, and then just do not talk to him again because he will leave. And I did. But I was good. And he also said, oh, he's good at what he does. So just tell him what he's supposed to do and then just don't talk to him ever again. And it was incredible. But I hate authority. I think a lot of my generation just hates authority and being told what to do. So having my own business, the fact that it's lures, any business is the same when it boils down to it. Making stuff's making stuff. But the real thing about the lure business is the alchemy of starting off with a liquid that you turn into a product that you make look pretty, that you then rig, and then it actually turns into something that somebody likes, and then it turns into a fish. The alchemy, you almost feel like Merlin, and it's incredible that you can actually sort of start off something and then it ends up being a fish hanging on, we've got fish that have been worth $1 million, $6 million, out of tournaments and stuff. And that started off with something in a can that you poured out into a mold. It's incredible. It's incredible.
How cool is that?
And the alchemy of it is really what switches it. And even, these things, the 3D printed ones, looking at a computer, getting a CAD program, learning how to use the CAD program, then you do the files, you put it on a machine, and then it gives you this thing that you put a skirt on, it turns into a fish. It's just this continuous metamorphosis of the process. It's just, I still love it as much as I love the first one I did. It's a major passion. And it's just something that I've never understood people copying other people's stuff. I've just never understood it. Where if you thought about it for 5 minutes, you could do something better. Because part of having an artistic temperament is, okay, I made that. Looks fantastic. It's catching shitloads of fish. The second that comes off the machine, my artistic temperament says, yeah, it's all right. You could do better.
It's a constant evolution.
It's a constant frustration, which is really what it is.
Uh,
What do you mean you like that, Lou? It's not that good, And in my
uh,
early years, I actually did sculptures, and I did about 14 of them. A lady said she liked them. I said they're not very good, and she said, "Look, I've got an art gallery. I want to put them in the art gallery." And I said, "Yeah, go for your life." Anyway, she came, rang me up the next day. I've got some money here for you. So, oh, okay. Went up there, and she had $5,000 for me. I was like 16, 17. And I said, "What, you sold those?" And she went, "Yeah, we sold out." I said, "People haven't got any taste. I'm never doing another one." And I didn't. Never made another sculpture. And
really?
then I started painting. So I did about 15 paintings, and the lady came up to me about 3 years later. So, did you start cut sculpting? I said, no. I did some paintings. She said, can I look at them? I said, yeah. And she said, can I have a showing of them? I said, yeah, you can, but no one's going to buy them. And she said, no, well, I think they will. I said, okay. So she did the showing, and I said, look, you can't sell the blue lady. I've got a painting I did of a blue lady. And she said, okay. And anyway, she rings me up about 11 o'clock at night. She says, I've sold them all. I said, oh, fucking people have got no taste, mate. Just, I'm not doing this again. Never did another painting. She said, somebody wants the blue lady. And I said, no, I'm not selling the blue lady. I just had sentimental value of a relationship I had. So I said, no, I'm not selling the blue lady. And she said, he's offering $30,000 for it. This is like 50 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I went, no, I'm not selling the blue lady. And she said, really? And I said, no, I'll come by tomorrow and pick up the money. And she had like $35,000 for me or something in cash. And I picked up the blue lane. She said, if you ever want to sell, that's worth a lot of money. I said, I'm not selling. I've still got it. So
Do you really? How cool is
yeah,
that?
yeah. And I've never done another painting. So I'm quite fickle about the fact that I don't think I'm never happy with what I've done. I've always think there's something better. And what I expect somebody to do is sort of say, look, I like that, but let me know what you do next year. Somebody
Let me do
can
it
come
better.
out and sort of see what I can see in them. Because I see problems with everything that I do. It's just the nature of stuff. So, we'll keep developing stuff, keep trying to do it. And we do have a range coming out this year that is absolutely spectacular in the technology. Sadly, I can't tell you about it, but it
No,
just brings together all the technologies I've ever done, and they're just looking spectacular. So that'll be coming out in the next 4 or 5 weeks. So no, 4 or 5 months, I think. Stay.
when it comes out and I see it, I'm going to say, "Aha, that's
That's
what
it.
he was holding back." I love
That's
it.
it.
Hold it back. I want to be surprised like everybody else.
Yeah, and at 72, I've got a feeling it's going to be my last range. So we'll see.
Ooh,
Probably not.
really?
Probably
Come
not because I'm
on.
doing stuff. Yeah, but
You're not
we'll
going to
see.
retire.
Probably not. No, not with my wife shopping the way she does. It's not going to happen.
What are you going to do then? You can only fish so much. The weather turns to shit sometimes. You got
Well, I've
to
actually retired 3 times in my history and hated it. The longest I've lasted is 6 weeks. I actually
really.
started a business after I sold it the last time, and that did really well. It gave me a chance to do a series on a DVD. It was the first interactive DVD in Australia, and it was called Between the Lines, and it pretty much was the Bible of game fishing for its day. And that's now online free, but it's not interactive online. Uh, but as soon as I finished that, I got bored stupid, ended up buying the business back anyway, so it was cool. As long as I sell the business in Australia, I'll get it back in 3 or 4 years. So it's okay.
Why? Because they'll run it into the ground.
They think running a little business is easy to do. It's not easy.
It's not
There's so many
easy.
components, so many people you got to deal with, and you got to deal with production and getting labor in Australia. I'm very lucky with the team I've got, but getting people to do what we do, manual labor in Australia, is very difficult to get people to do it.
Uh, Tackle, lures. It's not easy. It's
It's
tedious.
and it's highly competitive too. It's a highly competitive business. And now in the age of marketing, I refuse to use AI. Refuse to pump the hell out of social media. I just want organic growth. I just want people to word of mouth to spread it. That's how we run our business. Then it's stable, it's steady, and it's good.
You keep everybody happy. You don't get to a point where you get too many people asking and then people are disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah. We try to do that. It's not always possible, especially, we spend a lot of winter trying to get up stock for our summer season because it is our main season, but we generally run out of stuff. We've just run out of one of our teasers. We actually make them in Australia with no other country's components, but the guy who cuts the mirrors for us has run out, so we're waiting to get those. So that's holding that up, and people are getting pissed off that they can't get them. But they've been available all winter and stuff. People wait to the last minute. We still get
Every Everybody waits the last minute.
Yeah, we still get people who call us up in Australia and sort of say, look, um, on a Wednesday and say, I'm fishing in Brazil. Can you get some lures to me by the weekend? I go, no, we can't.
There's no fucking way.
I mean,
No.
yeah, think about it 6 weeks in advance or something. Give me a break. We make everything in-house. Everything's assembled here. It takes time to produce it, but generally we get stuff out in 24 hours.
That's not
That's it.
bad.
It's good.
That's not. How long did you know about this trip to Brazil? Oh, I've been planning it for 3 years. Then why the fuck
Yeah,
did you wait till 2 days before?
100%, 100%. But a lot
Oh,
of it is, and it happens because they ring up the skipper and the skipper sort of says, oh, if you're coming, can you bring some Pakula lures with you?
yeah, that
Stuff
makes
like that.
sense.
And
Okay.
that sort of happens in the last few days. So they ring up and go, no, I just can't do it. And there's some great stories. Paul Casey, who used to be the general manager of Continental Airlines, used to be a heavy game fisherman, and he was winning a tournament up in Cairns. And he actually rang me and said, oh, I need some, they were called Smoking Joes. And I said, yeah, yeah, I've got some. And he said, okay, I'll send someone to pick them up. And I said, okay, fine. I thought it was another traveller coming up, and the guy arrives in a pilot suit with a pilot's hat and everything. He said, I hear you've got some lures for me. I said, for Paul Casey. He said, yeah, okay, yeah, here we go. And I go, are you a pilot? He said, yeah, he sent the jet down to get them.
Oh my God.
So that was pretty spectacular.
Oh my God, that's incredible. See, I told you. These when you have that shared passion, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, yeah.
It doesn't
And there's
matter.
stories like that, like my guy, my distributor in the States is Bill Pino of Squid Nation.
Oh, I know Bill very well.
And man, he gets on boats and he has been in the money so many times, so many times. I think he's got to be up to 10 or $11 million in winnings. I think he's got to
I
be.
can believe it.
And last week he got a dolphin fish worth $250,000
I
in a
saw
tournament.
that in Costa Rica.
Yeah, and that's all because, he knows people and he's a good guy.
Yeah,
And that's
he's
being
a
a good
great
guy
guy.
gets you a lot of places. And he makes a nice product and he's just a nice, hospitable guy you can have a conversation with. And he's a
He
damn good fisherman, of
he's a
course.
damn good fisherman. No, no. But like you said, he's a nice guy. He called me up one time, or he texted me, "Hey, Fly, you got a minute to chat?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "You're the guy that spent so much time in the Middle East. I'm going to Kenya to go fishing, but I'm connecting in Qatar." He goes, "Where
Uh,
should I go?" I'm like, "Give me 5 minutes." And I go, "Here, call this guy in Oman.
yeah,
Call this guy in Oman. Go fishing with this guy." I go, "It's not far. It's a 2 hour flight from Qatar."
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's one of the guys who he'll fish for everything and anything. Like he goes fishing for his red drum or something every evening and stuff. And
Yeah.
and he fishes for Dorado and all sorts of stuff. I think he got someone fly the last time he went to Kenya or something. And or wherever he went, Mozambique, I guess. And he's one of those general fishermen, but he's just a nice guy. He's good at what he does. I think he's lived fishing most of his life, and he's getting the rewards for it, which is great.
Yeah. Listen, you reap what you sow. I mean, all the places I go now is from all the years while I was running decks,
Yeah,
or running a boat and meeting people. And it just got to the point I got so many cool offers. I'm like, I got to figure something else so I'm not working for somebody else so I can go fishing when I want. When people invite me, I can go.
yeah, yeah. The
That's
secret is never say no because you may not to get so may not get to say yes again.
you are 100% correct on that.
You get one invitation, don't lose it.
I couldn't tell you how many times I've been at a boat show or iCast or something. Hey, you're Fly. Yeah, I'm from Angola. Would you like to come fishing with me? I'm like, what's your airport code and what time of year?
Yeah, yeah.
And I go. I make the time. You
And there's
know,
just been a new thing set up. This is another bucket listing. There's another place right on the Congo border. They just set up a tarpon camp, and
really?
the guy also wants to know about blue marlin fishing, and he sort of made me a bunch of offers, but I've got to get another three people to come over. It's dangerous, it's expensive, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm working on that. We'll see if that one comes through. Because a giant tarpon, especially an Angolan giant tarpon, which are what, 400 pound, up to 400 pound.
Oh, they got some monsters.
Yeah.
They
So
got
yeah,
s-
that's another bucket list thing. I got to
that's
live till I'm 150 to get all this done,
well,
huh?
I don't want to see you go.
I'm not going anywhere
I don't
yet.
want to see you go.
We've just got over 3 years of illness. Either myself or my wife has been seriously ill or injured for the last 3 years, and it's only the last 3 months both of us are healthy at the same time. It's incredible.
So where are you guys going? You got to do something.
Yeah, we're going to Japan
Oh man, when are you going?
when we get some money.
No, no, when? Okay, when you get some money. Okay.
When we get some,
Okay, so that's just where you're gonna go. Okay. So
yeah, the last 3 years.
anybody that's listening, make sure you buy some Pakula lures so Peter can go to Japan.
So my wife can go to Japan. Yeah, the
Uh,
the 3 years that we had the illness and the injuries is pretty much we let the business go. So it's it owes a lot of money. But we'll get there. It's all good. This season's good.
yeah.
Been back at work for 3 months. It's been kicking along. It's good.
Do you have any good contacts in Japan?
Yeah, we have
Okay.
a major store there in Osaka, and they're just a delight.
Okay.
Absolutely.
If you need any introductions, please let me know. I got
I will.
I got
Thank
some
you.
really, really good contact. I have a buddy of mine. He went to school as a graphic artist.
Oh, perfect.
But now not he used it. Him and a friend started a fishing and golfing line, clothing line.
Ah,
And then
per
they grew it, or they created a whole nother branch where it's all fishing tackle.
wow.
So they've got, I think, 87 stores in all of Japan.
Wow.
So
incredible.
super nice guy. Again, one of those guys doesn't speak a lick of English, but I talk to every week. There's a communication app in Japan. It's called
Yeah,
Line.
yeah, and it translates straight away, huh?
Yeah, and it has an AI translator on it.
Wow.
And him and I, we text back and forth. And his nephew is he's studying baseball here in Tampa, Florida. And he reached out to
Wow.
me, hey, my nephew's going to be here. Can you keep an eye on him? And I'm back and forth. I go, man, I got a friend of mine, retired Major League Baseball player. I'm going to introduce you to him. He lives in Tampa.
Yeah,
So, yeah, we're keeping an eye on his nephew.
what it's
16
all
years
about.
old. Yeah, man.
What it's all about.
Again, another fisherman. We got to take care of each other.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
we have to take care of each other. So that's the best part about it. You go to a country, I call them up, and anybody that I bring with me, we always have dinner together, and he always shows me the best restaurants, and I feel very safe. You
Well,
know, I feel very safe wherever I go. You know,
so do we. And you know what? If you feel safe, I think you are safe. We went to Long Beach. I used to deal with Seven Strand, Bill Buchanan a lot.
oh, okay.
So we're going to Long
Yeah.
Beach, and we're at the hotel, and this is the days of cameras with film in them, and we go up to the desk and say, "Oh, we've got to get our photos developed. Where do we go?" And she sort of said, "Oh, you can go here or you can go there." And I went, "Okay." We went there, and it was a place called Sixth Avenue. And we go up there and we go into the shopping center. And after about half an hour, I sort of told my wife, "Look, why has the security guard been following us around the whole time we're here?" And she goes, "Well, have a look around." I said, "What?" And she said, "Everybody's black." And I said, "Well, yeah, so."
So what?
And she goes, "Maybe that's the reason." I just went, "Okay." So anyway, we got the film. We went through the car park. There was a few gangs in the car park. Said hi to them, no problem. Come back down, go to the hotel. And that night we're sort of having dinner with the guys. And Bill says, "Oh, what'd you do today?" "Oh, we went up Sixth Avenue." He said, "You're what?" I said, "We went up Sixth Avenue." And he went, "What? You survived Sixth Avenue?" I went, "Yeah, what's the problem?" He said, "Oh, it's a dangerous place." And I go, "Because we didn't behave scared, you're safe, I think."
Yeah, there's a lot of places. You know, like I said, I spent a lot of time in the Middle East. People are like, "Hey, man, aren't you nervous?" I'm like, I've never felt nervous. I've never been there. I've always been treated beautifully.
In the Emirates, you haven't got a problem. It's the safest place in the world.
Yeah, no, Emirates very safe, but even Saudi, I've been very, very
Saudi's fine.
comfortable. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Saudi. Oh my gosh, I feel safer there than I do some of the places here in Florida.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, it's no Emirates. I have a business partner. He needed an introduction to somebody over there, so I said I'll meet you in Dubai and I'll introduce you to some people, and I did. And he has a young daughter, so we went to Abu Dhabi and we went to this water park. And I was checking something on the phone. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna go ride." I'm like, "Okay." I grab my phone, I put it on the thing, grab my glasses. I just cover the phone so the sun doesn't get to it. He goes, "Hey, man, you're leaving your phone there?" I go, "We're in the Emirates, brother. You can leave your phone
Yeah.
anywhere. It's not
Yeah.
going nowhere."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
Australia's still the same as that. It's the crime rate has gone up with a bunch of stuff happening, but geez, up until 2 years ago, we never locked the doors ever.
Yeah.
My whole life, it's always been a safe country. It's not that safe anymore. There's a bunch of young criminals now, and the laws aren't really doing anything about it. So it's not as safe as it used to be, but it's still very safe, well, according to world standards and stuff.
Yeah. I think that goes along with all the woke stuff you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's part of don't be tough on criminals. And it's no. Criminal has to be, you got to be punished when you do something wrong. That's
Yeah,
what,
we got guys who've been arrested, I think 300 times. Some guys in
wow.
between, and they still let them out, put them straight on bail, let them go.
No, listen, you got to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
You gotta
our,
draw the
our,
line somewhere.
our judiciary is very, very lax, just incredible.
No,
I don't even know if we've got any jails anymore. Nobody ever seems to go there, but we'll see.
I, I don't know. The way I was brought up, I'm still worried somebody's going to come across and wrap my head. Whack, what are you doing? Sorry.
Yeah.
You
We had the
know?
same, we had the same upbringing.
that was the way I was brought up. My mom was just a little woman, 4'11",
Yeah,
so she had to carry a big stick.
and she
Um,
did the wooden spoon, the old wooden spoon.
whoa, my mom was a broom handle, man.
Oh, okay. My mum was a jug cord.
Ugh. Oh my
Yeah, we
gosh.
copped a beating. We copped a beating.
Yeah.
Lovely
Peter,
people.
thank you so much for your time today. I cannot thank you enough. This has been more than I expected. This was great.
Well, it's nearly 2 hours.
I kn- I know.
No one's so we can say what we want. No one's going to listen to that long.
No, no, listen, it's so funny because I tell everybody book out around 2 hours.
Wow.
And it's funny because it's a little later and I still got to cook dinner, but if not, I could have talked to you for another hour, you
Well,
know?
Fly, I'm truly honored that you called me, and I really appreciate it. Thank you
No,
very much.
I thank you so much. And if somebody wants to get a hold of you or find your products, what's the best way for them to find it?
Just search Pakula on the internet.
Okay, pretty simple.
Yeah, or Pakula.com. There's a live chat there, and the live chat has audio and video. It's easy to get a hold of me, and I enjoy the conversations. And some part of my job in production is pretty damn boring, so a conversation's a good thing.
And, and if somebody hooks a fish and doesn't know what to do, they can call you too.
Yeah, they can call me up. We'll tell them what to do.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you confirmed that story, man. That's a story I probably had at least 30 years. I don't know, at least 20 years. I'm glad you
Look,
confirmed it.
it's not a, it's probably happened, I don't know, 15, 20 times in my history, I guess.
That is awesome, man.
They didn't all catch them. They didn't all catch them.
Yeah.
I mean, once
No,
in a
but
while they run over, they drive over them, or the hook pulls out or something. They don't always catch them, but the Florida guy did.
yeah, but the fact that somebody told me that story and I've been holding on to it, and the fact that we got a chance to spend 2 hours here, sharing time, no, that's fucking great, man. I love it.
Yeah, no, there's been some really cool things. I mean, look, it's been a good life. It's been a great life, and
Well,
it's a long one, and I appreciate it. Thank you. All the
well,
best.
thank you so much, Peter. You have a great
Okay.
the rest of your day. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thanks, everybody.